robots took my podcast, man.
The mob took Sugar's man away. And now she's gonna make them pay.
I want them dead.
With a voodoo priestess called Mama Matrace.
I know what you can do, the power you possess.
How strong is your hate?
And Baron Samdi, too.
My particular special. A drink that I'm famous for. The zombie.
This is my domain, a kingdom of the dead.
And an army of undead behind her.
Each death has had something to do with voodoo ritual.
There's nothing that Sugar can't do.
Welcome to our podcast, The Robots Took My Podcast. I am Jordan. This is my co-host.
And I am Anthony. Are we talking about what brings us here today, Jordan?
Why, Anthony, the movie from 1974 perfectly. In reality, when we are recording this, it is Halloween Day. Sugar Hill from 1974, a movie starring the lovely, beautiful, and talented Marki Bey as Diana/Sugar, Richard Lawson, Robert Quarry, Don Pedro Colley. Man, what power with all these names.
Oh, man. There are some. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about with this cast. This is a dream cast.
And directed by Paul Maslansky. Paul Maslansky, once again. We already have talked about Race with the Devil, a movie he produced. Devil's Reign, another movie.
Police Academy.
Not Devil's Reign, but yeah, later Police Academy, though. But he directed
Police
Sugar
Academy.
Hill.
Goes on. And was this the only movie he directed? I mean, he produced a bunch of those other movies. But
I think he directed the first Police Academy, I think.
More of a producer than a director, really.
I think so, yeah. I think. This movie, 1974, shot in Houston, Texas. Should we go over the plot with the spoilers? Basically, very simple plot, very tight script.
If you are not down with spoilers, we're just going to talk the hell out of this movie. So I suggest you go watch it and listen, because we have to discuss this film. It's such an important movie. It's a perfect Halloween movie.
Free plug. I saw it on Amazon Prime last night.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Okay, well, let's get right into it. First off, this is a movie that has zombies in it. It's the 70s movie. It's got revenge. It's all about revenge. Gangsters. It has it all. It's the perfect 70s film. Well, the perfect 70s exploitation film, I should say.
Yes, absolutely. Exploitation horror film.
Exploitation horror film, and just a good time at the movies. Just a really fun retro film.
Absolutely. Yes.
If you like 70s grindhouse, this is the definition of it. But basically, so the plot begins with our main character, and her name is Sugar. I mean, that's not her name. That's what everyone calls her, because she's as sweet as sugar, or whatever he says.
Yeah.
She's as sweet as sugar tastes, or something. Looks as sweet as sugar tastes is what her boyfriend says, who is the owner of a club called Club Haiti.
Yeah.
And a very successful club. She's his girlfriend, and he is killed by some gangsters doing some gangster stuff.
It's some mafia shit, basically. I mean,
there's this dude, Morgan. This dude nails it. Great performances all around in this film. That's what really makes this movie.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Morgan is this straight-up gangster who wants to buy the club, and then her boyfriend, Robert Quarry, plays him. Her boyfriend doesn't want to sell it. And so basically, they have him killed.
Yeah, brutally. Beat the shit out of him.
That's how it begins. But how does the movie actually begin, Jordan? It begins with a song, right?
Yes. Supernatural voodoo woman. Do her bad and you will see the light. Oh, I think I did it right. No, I just messed it up. Anyway, but yeah.
I think you...
No. Oh, it's
you nailed that at karaoke.
You won't see the night.
This is Jordan's go-to karaoke song. It's a wonderful song. I don't know. Was that made for the movie? I don't know.
It was written for the movie. Yeah, it was written as the title track for the movie, and I guess it was released by Motown, judging by the credits. Yeah, awesome theme song, rockin' theme song, right up there with Shaft, right up there with Superfly, not Superfly, Pusher Man.
Great 70s song.
I mean, and that's that's the simple plot. And so Sugar, her name is, I think her name in the movie is Diana, and everybody calls her Sugar, goes to Mama Matrace, who I can't figure out the relationship, but she seems to know her, and she seems to be a part of some voodoo past, and she demands
they're related
justice. They're related somehow. Yeah. And this is set in the bayou swamps of Louisiana, Voodoo, Louisiana. And even though it's shot in Houston, but it's shot so close along the Gulf, it might as well be Louisiana, honestly. But she goes to her and she says, I want revenge. I want justice. I want them dead. And she says, what will you pay? And she says, my soul. And Mama Trace calls this other entity played by Don Pedro Colley named.
Well, hold on a sec. Before we get into that, I want to stop.
Am I going too fast? Sorry.
No, you're fine. But there's a couple things that we need to talk about. Number one, as the title song plays, they kill a real chicken, Jordan. I'm almost 100%. There shows a voodoo ceremony, and I'm pretty sure they kill a real chicken.
It did look like the opening title was shot at a real voodoo ceremony, probably in Louisiana, I imagine.
Oh, well, I mean, these are actors, but I mean, I think they.
It looks like Second Unit. No, it looks like Second Unit went to Louisiana and shot some voodoo ceremony.
But I think they killed a chicken. I just want to say that one thing. Number two, she and her boyfriend are clearly in love. They have a great chemistry there. And I will say this movie has dialogue for days. There's some funny jokes, and there's some wonderful dialogue. And whenever the club, the dudes come up, and one of them is the right-hand man, one of the gangsters. He's like Morgan's, number one, like hitman there. And he is played by Charles Robinson, Mac from Night Court, as a character called Fabulous. And Fabulous.
Oh my God, that is him. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. Star of many, many productions, and wonderful. Black Gestapo,
what an actor.
All of that. Great actor.
A lot of power there.
A lot of power. And so anyway, his costume is great. Like he just dresses like he looks like something out of Fly,
Yeah, he dresses.
He's got
Fly.
this hat. He's got this giant hat. I mean, he's
pimp hat.
His hat is fabulous. It's giant. It's you could only get away with wearing that in the 70s. But then they beat him up, and then she's clearly distraught. And like you said, she goes to Mama Matrace, who I think is a relative. I probably missed that part, but they know each other. And she's staying with Mama Matrace. But there is kind of, I wouldn't call it, one scene that kind of makes it look like a training sequence. Like she has not believed in voodoo, and Mama Matrace was like, you're not a believer. And then there's kind of like she teaches her the voodoo arts, sort of. We get the feeling, it's not really a training montage, but we get a feeling that Mama Matrace is like, okay, it's time, I'm going to teach you in a very Yoda-like way, teaching you about the voodoo arts. And then they go and they call, who do they call, Jordan?
What is his name now? I forgot. Oh my God. Baron
Samedi, but it sounds like Baron Samedi.
Yes, that's what it is. Baron
played
Z,
with the perfect amount of just emoting, and I wouldn't even call it overacting. He throws himself into this role, and you believe
Don Pedro Colley, the great Don Pedro
Colley, man.
Beneath the Planet of the Apes, THX 1138. I mean, that's just only like scraping the one part of his resume. Even he's done a lot of stuff, man. This guy, and this is like him playing the Joker almost in a way. The way he's leering a lot in this role because and his teeth are painted up properly. Man, and he's
got gold teeth.
What a presence he is, though. Larger than life presence he is. And
And that's a real, I don't know much about voodoo, but that's a real voodoo god. And I think like American Horror Story and many other things have kind of tackled this subject. I don't care. I haven't seen that.
And, am I jumping ahead? He says, I have an army of the dead to help.
Well, you are jumping ahead because what happens is she wants vengeance. And she is so hell-bent on vengeance that she is willing to go to Mama Matrace for some voodoo stuff, right? Mama Matrace says, I want to call somebody, but you got to understand, he's not, you better be careful with the powers you're dealing with here. She said, Baron Zombie is a greedy god. So she's like, she's like, hey, give me your jewelry. He wants to.
You have to offer him something. That's what it is, yeah.
Exactly. So he shows up. It's very creepy. And then he's like, well, what will you give me if I help you? And then she's like, this gold. And he's like, okay, but Baron Zombie's likes the ladies. He has a harem of women. So he's looking at her and be like, what are you going to give me?
It's almost Dracula-like in a way. It's like they've become his harpies or something, or his sirens or something like that, or
his concubines, whatever they are.
Yeah,
he has these zombie women, and so it doesn't say, because he looks at her and she's like, "You're not afraid of me," and she's like, "No, I'm not." So then they don't really exchange anything at that point. Baron Zombie's intrigued by her, and he's the god of death, so he's like, "Yeah, what? No, let's see what's going on with this chick." And he's like, "I've got an army. Go ahead, Jordan." He says, "I have an army of the dead." And then
army of the dead. I have an army of the dead. All these zombies rise out of the swamp of Louisiana they're in here or whatever, and Mama Matrace is happening wherever they're at, basically. This is this Mama Matrace's lair. I don't know what to call it. But yeah, and it's just they start coming out of the ground all around, man. And these are real actors doing this. They have zombie makeup like we've never seen before. It's partly due to budget, but it's also very clever. They've got these solid silver-looking dead eyes that are just obviously some kind of attachment they did, but still very effective, I feel like, on random actors.
And they have cobwebs on them and makeup.
But yet they have cobwebs, and these actors endured a lot. I hope they had a nice rap party for these actors that played the zombies, because it looks like they endured a lot. It looks like they had to sit in a lot of cold humid dirt, whatever.
Yeah. And so but that begs the question, Jordan.
Some of the cobwebs.
These are more like, well, yeah. So that begs the question: is this a zombie movie? I mean, these aren't your Night of the Living Dead zombies. These aren't your shambling Romero zombies. These aren't your screaming 28 days later zombies. I think it's halfway
a spiritual zombie in a way.
It's more. Yeah, no, you're right. To like
this is
the original idea of zombies from like Haitian voodoo in the Hollywood version.
Very much Haiti. Yeah, it's definitely more Haiti influence from what you hear about Haiti, where people were pronounced dead because the pulse had stopped or whatever. But they would give them a drug that made it look like they were dead, and they were really alive underground, basically in a comatose state. But yeah, this also looks like a spiritual level as well, I feel like. A dark kind of spiritual.
And there's the one thing about this movie is there's a lot of overtones, not even subtle undertones, but overtones of slavery. Like these are actual old slaves, you know, and their masters.
That's the weird part. Yeah, it goes deep.
So it's like slaves getting their vengeance, basically, sort of. And Baron Zombie has control over them and is rising.
Some of them still have shackles on their wrists, which becomes a thing later on. Even these shackles and chains.
That's just an interesting element.
Yeah,
that fits in with the blaxploitation, stick it to the man sort of vibe. You know, and it weaves in this whole universe of voodoo. I mean, exploitatively, but really well, which makes it a different kind of zombie movie.
It's voodoo, not just on a Louisiana voodoo level. I mean, it's not a zombie movie on just a Louisiana voodoo level. Yeah, you're right, man. It's like zombie level deep. It goes deep. It's Louisiana. It's Haitian. It's all these cultures of zombies coming together in this movie, right? I mean, and then it's a spiritual level zombie on top of that.
old school I Walked with a Zombie, old school Serpent in the Rainbow kind of zombies, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this movie has its own unique zombies. So when one watches this, one must forget Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead, or it's not the same kind, or 28 Days Later, for that matter. It's not the same kind of zombie in this movie. Basically, it's different on a whole level. It's more on it's zombie akin to a vampire, even more a little bit.
Yeah.
In a sense.
So she's going to use these zombies to basically take vengeance on Morgan and his men, anybody who had anything to do with anything. And she's going to take down Morgan with these zombies.
These zombies, this army of the dead, are going to be her hitmen, basically, in a bizarre way every time. It also reminds me of a movie from France by Francois Truffaut. I don't mean to reference another movie called Bride Wore Black, where this woman had lost her husband on her wedding day, killed by men fooling around with a gun from a high rise. And she hunts down all 5 of them. Although in this movie, the woman hunts down all 5 of them herself. But it reminds me of the same kind of European plot in a way. That was like sort of Truffaut doing Hitchcock. So this is sort of the Voodoo Hitchcock almost going on with this movie.
So then she goes and she kills one of the first of the henchmen, who is not William Smith, by the way. He is not William Smith, everybody. Yes. He kind of looks for a minute to me like William Smith.
And you're shocked that William Smith isn't in this movie somewhere, honestly, you know.
I'm shocked whenever William Smith is not in any movie from the 70s. But
really, because he was everywhere, you know. It's like Michael Caine in the 80s.
They kill the first dude.
What is it?
The first guy. They feed him to pigs. Is that what happened? No,
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, you're right. They feed him to these. No, they look like
boars. They cut his throat. I think they cut his throat somehow.
I just remember there's another dude too. It's so many bizarre incidents together, but it's kind of shocking so much too. But that's one of them, is feeding him to the pig. She kills another guy by it. You think he thinks he's getting a massage at his normal parlor that he goes to. I know I'm skipping ahead.
We'll skip ahead. Let's back up.
But this is one of many bizarre ways that these guys all get knocked off, basically. Another time, what is it? Sugar seduces the guy. She's a lot of times there overseeing it. You can see her. And another time she seduces the guy herself, and not really seduces him, walks him in, but
there's a pattern to these killings and how they occur. Because what happens is they kill the first dude. I forgot how it is, guys. Sorry. But it's the least, I think they cut his throat somehow.
I lost myself in the movie after a while. I was keeping notes for a little bit, but I really lost myself in the movie again too, watching it.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of an moment.
Backing up. So her former boyfriend of this guy that she used to date before she was dating the club owner.
Yes. Played by Richard Lawson. Yes.
The great Richard Lawson of everything.
We would later see him in a lot of stuff after this. Fantastic Journey episode. I mean, I'm only scratching the surface. Poltergeist.
Jericho Mile. Poltergeist.
He was a great actor. The miniseries, playing the older brother to the main character in that one. Man, that's just naming just a few even. The guy just had a resume after that. And what a great actor too. And he's there to help drive the plot along, because he's the detective following all this and connecting the dots on all this. And he's so good at explaining things. And they had a past fling.
She dated him before.
Another. Mm-hmm. He's got a personal thing going on here, with her. And they kind of rekindling a relationship. Well, one of the things that sort of gets me is I think, and we're not into really criticism yet, but she kind of gets over her boyfriend dying rather quickly. Apparently, I don't know what she's struggling with internally, but we don't see her really crying this whole movie. She's a tough woman. That's all I can say. That's probably what it is. You see how much.
I wonder if she's just so consumed by vengeance that it's just kind of like
she doesn't cry. She turns to vengeance. Yeah.
Richard Lawson's character, the cop, Valentine, they find at the scene of the first murder, they find, some forensic evidence. He takes him to a lab and he's like, well, the poor man's Paul Rudd, this lab tech. I don't know. He kind of looks like Paul Rudd. I don't know.
Paul Rudd in the 70s, Anthony.
70s Paul Rudd.
Yes.
Not really. But anyway, they find dead skin and mold. And that's the kind of thing. He's doing this investigation. It's like
doing DNA testing before DNA testing was even a thing.
Yeah. And so they're trying to uncover what's going on with all these murders. And the first thing he finds is, under the person's fingernails or wherever is dead flesh and mold. And so they're like, that's weird.
Dead skin. Yeah. Dead skin that has no active cells in it at all. Nothing left of any activity left going on. That's what something like that. So that makes us as the audience buy into it, of course, easily. We're like, oh my God. And he's got the shackles from one of the zombies, I think. Am I jumping ahead?
He gets the shackles later. He's building a case.
He takes that to an expert who tells him that the shackles
are jumping ahead. We're jumping a little bit ahead because a lot happens between when we see the expert. Yeah. Because
we haven't even got to talking about Robert Quarry, the main villain responsible for all this, basically, whose thuggies had done all this. There's a lot of scenes with him and his mean blonde girlfriend.
Oh, let's back up.
And more racist girlfriend.
Oh my God. If you are not okay with white people saying the N-word, this is not the movie for you. Okay.
It's kind of uncomfortable.
Spoilers. Yes. Disclaimer: this is not a woke movie. No. Well, we learned out later there's maybe some just desserts being had, but yeah, as bad as Robert Quarry's character Morgan is, his GF is worse, man. She is just, the N-word is just coming out of her mouth a lot, and she's clearly one of the most racist characters I've seen on.
If anybody was watching Tarantino's Django and didn't like it, what they were hearing, probably don't want to watch this movie either. Even though I still think this movie is great.
Oh, it's awesome. But anyway, so basically Morgan goes to Sugar and he's like, I want to buy you a club. Or he finds out they're talking and finds out that he left the club to her. He's like, oh, okay, because he wants the club. That's what he wants. And you get the feeling he's trying to come up and be a gangster now. Mm-hmm. He's like, I got to start doing some gangster stuff in order to really get some respect and really come up with my business.
I get the vibe the guy already controls a lot of businesses and he just wants to control more businesses and gangster mafia fashion, because he's basically a mafia guy. Basically, he's literally, that's how he operates, like a mafia type. And he's got his own little family
with big hats.
Yeah,
he hired specifically hitmen that kind of look like William Smith.
The southern version of it. Yes,
he's kind of on his way to being a 70s gangster, but he's great.
Boy, I love the way
he performances are great. And then the lines in this movie, whenever Sugar comes, and she's got such poise and class.
Exactly. Marki Bey playing Sugar Hill.
Marki Bey, the great Marki Bey, who owns
playing
this
Sugar.
Role.
Not Sugar Hill, Sugar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so his girlfriend, like Morgan's girlfriend, is just like, N-word, N-word, N-word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
go get that N-word, girl.
It's bad. So they have this conversation, and Morgan's talking to Sugar, and Sugar's playing dumb, and he's like, "Well, I honor my obligations to the living and the dead," and she's like, "So do I." You know what I mean? There's all these wonderful lines in this film.
Yeah.
And she leaves. And then,
although you really want you really want Robert Quarry's girlfriend, and I feel bad for leaving out the actress's name. She plays it really well, and that poor girl.
Yeah.
I mean, to say that dialogue.
Yeah.
But her character, you're like, oh my God, I hope she gets it later on. After you're seeing a couple.
No spoilers yet.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens here, but I like it when even Morgan respects Sugar. Like his girlfriend doesn't even want to serve coffee to Sugar because of the whole race thing, and then Sugar leaves and he's like, well, she's got class, and she's like, that ain't class, that's color. And he's like, whatever it is, you could use some of it. So even like Morgan, he even says to her, it's like, everybody knows what you are. I mean, he's like putting her in her place. She is just not it's an interesting dynamic between those two. He's a bastard. Morgan's a bastard.
Yes,
but
definitely.
It's just crazy. And so anyway, there are more kills. And what happens in these kills, Jordan, is there's a pattern. Basically, guy goes to a place or whatever. Usually, Sugar shows up. But what happens is Baron Zombie, he's not gone. Throughout this entire movie, Baron Zombie shows up like he's in character. He's incognito in our world. And I love it. Kind of like when Racing the Devil had that sort of paranoia. This movie has this omniscience in Baron Zombie. He's just out, you just turn, and then here he is. He's a guy in the bar playing pool. He's a bartender. He's a cab driver. He's a gardener. He's
like the only comparison I can think of, oddly, is like the bald guy playing Death in the movie The Doors. It constantly pops up through the whole movie every time. Yes, and Baron Z is just like that too, always popping up in the guy in these weird geises. I just made up a new word, geises. No,
geises.
Geises insurance. No, but he's wearing all these different hats. Like Baron Zombie is literally wearing all these weird hats in the movie. But it's bizarre.
He just shows up. And so they feed the second guy to the pigs, and then that's when Sugar shows up. Like Baron Zombie shows up as this cab driver, is like, get in the cab. Morgan wants to see you, and this guy's like going with him, takes him out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's his fault. Don't follow some random person out in the middle of nowhere. And then Sugar shows up, and this is what happens. Baron Zombie's there. He sets the stage. Sugar shows up, and then the zombies come out of nowhere and attack the person, and then kill them in new and interesting ways. And
that was right before the Baron had looked like a cab driver showing up to say that the boss needed him somewhere. And that's what it was. Yeah, he takes him out into the field. But the look on the Baron's face when the guy gets in the car is this look of, he fell for it. That dumbass. That's the one thing I remember.
Baron Zombie's great.
Yeah.
He's so great in this movie. I mean, Dom Pedro Colley, like we mentioned, owns this role. This is so awesome. He is just so good.
He was a great actor.
It's kind of humorous. This movie has like a lot of humor in it.
Yes. And it's all dark humor, a lot of that. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a perfect movie for Halloween. I mean, just because of this as well, because it's all this, I think. But I wouldn't say a perfect family movie.
Yeah, it is a perfect family movie. Gather the kids around.
Yeah.
And so anyway, there's even a fight between Sugar and Morgan's girlfriend. I forgot her name in the movie. And the bartender looks weird. Bartender's just like standing there. Not Baron Zombie this time. Mm-hmm. Just the bartender that works there is just like at the bar at the the club that she owns, is just standing there cleaning glasses. Like this is the Old West or something. Bartender's just going to watch the fight go on. I don't know. Anyways, I thought that was kind of funny. So then she goes to see Morgan, and Morgan wants to buy the club. Mm-hmm. And then he's aware that all his men are being killed here.
Once again, and this happens a lot. There's a lot of negotiating back and forth about the club, and still.
And Valentine's getting more and more evidence, and it's becoming clear to him that something's going on here.
Yeah. And
so she meets up with Morgan. He offers him some money. And like you said, in one of the kills, she like flirts with the bad guy there. And Baron Zombie is playing pool. And then this is one of the best kills in the movie. Like she sits him down, she brings him into this bar, or the zombies come, and then they force him to sit down. And there's a voodoo doll with 5 little gunpowder lines up to it. And when she's like, you're going to take that knife in front of yourself, and you're going to, in front of you, you're going to kill yourself. He's like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so then,
and what isn't it the chicken leg that really bugs the shit out of the guy already in the beginning? But he can't.
There's a disembodied chicken leg that attacks it.
A chicken leg or a chicken leg and foot. Yeah, just just disembodied. Yeah, just in the middle of the table, and it's one of the things that helps the spell, I guess. Yeah, I guess it helps the spell
so much,
but it sets off the guy before the no, what is this? This isn't right. Which why did he run at that point if he felt it was that bad once again?
But there's a voodoo spell, like he's on fire or something, whatever, and
why didn't he run or just screaming at that point, down the street until the zombies got him?
Yeah. And then they send that guy dies, and they send Morgan like his heart or something in this little jar or whatever. So Morgan knows that somebody's killing his men, and he's trying to figure it out. Everybody's trying to figure it out.
But that's the bizarre part about this. Obviously, if these guys tried to run, these zombies would still probably somehow get them, because these zombies, like we said, don't work like these are zombie hitman type zombies, and they're akin to a vampire more. So they would probably they wouldn't chase you. They just pop out of nowhere again, probably.
They would just appear wherever you are.
Appear out of nowhere, exactly. And slay you right there, scratch your eyes out or whatever. Yeah.
He has power. This isn't just like zombies that are limited to normal physical rules. Like these are
sort of the demonic zombies, basically, is what they are. I guess this is demonic.
Yeah, they're
power.
like demons.
Yeah, being used for justice, of course, in the movie.
It's the kind of thing, yeah, you're right, where you'd run down the block and you think you'd escape from the zombies, and they would just pop out of the shadows. That's what's going to happen.
They wouldn't even bother to chase you. You'd think you got away from them. That would be the funny part. You'd probably think you got away from them. They'd stare at you as you ran, and then you'd run right into one out of nowhere, probably, and another, and another, and another.
And that's when Valentine, he's still investigating. He has these shackles. He has this all this evidence. It's not adding up. It sounds like voodoo. So he goes to a professor, an English professor. Now he's not a professor of English. He's a white guy who's English, and who has this big
in a library. It looks like
in a library. It's filmed in the Houston or one of the Houston libraries. He was an expert on voodoo, and he's like, basically, you need to go talk to Mama Matrace. Or, he's talking about Mama Matrace. He's like, oh, how long has she been dead? He's like, she's not dead. She's like 100 years old or something, but she's still alive.
And he also gives him a stack of these big, thick voodoo books that look like they might even have spells in them somehow, that somehow exist in this library.
Yeah, he gives him all this stuff. He's investigating, he's reading up on it. And then he goes to see Mama Matrace because he realized that's where Sugar lives, or her grandmother, whoever Mama Matrace is. Like, she lives there, and so he's like, that's over by where Sugar lives with her grandma or whatever. And so they go over there, or he goes over there to talk to her. And Sugar's playing dumb this whole time. He's been going to her several times, and it's like, voodoo? What are you talking about? This is crazy. So Valentine goes to see Sugar, and she's like, what are you talking about, all this voodoo stuff? That's crazy. You know what I mean?
He demands to see Mama Matrace because he just knows that she's connected, basically, right? And then Baron is right in the background, just looming over them.
Baron just shows up. I love it. He just turns around. He's like, the caretaker is like, hello. Yeah. And he's just like, oh, man.
He's almost like Eric von Stroheim to a Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard kind of thing, almost at that moment. Just a creepy, butler. Exactly, like they had to come in here unannounced. Yeah,
I'm old Sam. I've been the caretaker here forever. Just like all these wonderful.
That's what he says. Yeah.
Mama Trace doesn't want to have any part of this, and she runs off. And she's like, "Look, she's old and tired. Leave her alone. Whatever." And he's just like, something's not adding up. Scooby, what do you think about this? Kind of like things aren't adding up. And so anyway, that's when we get the kill in the massage parlor. And then we have Fabulous, and who's winning the Hat Olympics. He's got a gold medal in the Hat Olympics. I promise you.
Oh yeah.
When you watch and so he goes into
He's got the that's right. He's still got he doesn't wear just one type of hat, as I remember either. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, so he gets there's a kill. Well, I think first he goes back to Morgan and flirts with him a little bit, he gives her an offer for some money, and then she's like, well, I want like 10,000 more. And so he's like, okay, whatever. And so they're having this back and forth, these two. So she's talking
no
to the cops.
negotiating, basically, yeah.
And Morgan's going to force this, and he thinks she's this dumb lady, and he's just going to take advantage of her, and that is not the case. He's just constantly impressed with how smart and classy she is.
Yeah.
And then so Baron Zombie wants to kill that cop, you know, but she's like, no, because she has feelings for him too.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot going on with this film.
I think, the Baron oddly is smitten with Sugar, obviously, in a weird way. Like, or now at this point, he just would do anything for her.
I think everybody's smitten with Sugar, and she's playing everybody. Really?
Yeah.
She's playing everybody to her
charm.
advantage.
Yeah. But you believe her that when she says she would give her soul for this, you believe her that she really does not care about anything but getting these guys who killed her man, basically, you know, who killed her fiance.
Yeah. I will give my soul. Baron Zombie at the beginning of the movie says, it ain't souls I'm into. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I ain't worried about souls.
Betty Ann Rees, just interrupt, was playing Celeste, the wife of Robert Corey in this movie, the really hardcore racist wife. And then Zara Cully plays Mama Matrace. And I wasn't really sure about what they did. I was just kind of looking them up again. But apparently, yeah, her resume goes way back as well.
Zara Cully's been in a lot. I know that. You know that face. She's been in, or at least I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. She feels like she's been in a lot. Maybe I've just seen this movie a number of times, and she's just so Mama Matrace that I don't know. But she's great in this. Everyone's great in this.
1978 on my birthday. That's weird. Oh, I wasn't born in 1978, but no, died on my birthday nevertheless. Man, I'm looking at her IMDb. It goes, wow. Yeah, it goes all the way back to 1965, though, her resume. And yeah, done everything, television and movie, it looks like. A lot of television, mostly. Oh, yeah, Night Gallery series, Mod Squad, Jeffersons, man, just all over the place.
Oh, she was Mother Jefferson. She was George Jefferson's mother. That's why I know her.
Yeah.
On that show, The Jeffersons.
I think that's where we mainly know her from. Yeah, you're right.
I'm caught up. Right. Yeah, I'm caught up, everybody. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so they kill Mac from Night Court. What an actress, though. Great actress. Great actress. And they kill Max in Night Court in the massage parlor, you know, with an unhappy ending.
Wait, what are you talking about? Kill Mac from Night Court in a massage parlor.
They kill Fabulous in the massage parlor with a candlestick. No, with a bunch of zombies.
And it starts with them giving him a massage. Yeah, a bunch of these female zombies with their sharp nails and their dead skin, cold skin. Because he says, man, it's sharp, it's cold, stop it. But he never wants to open his eyes and get up and do anything at any point, which is the end of him, you know, at the same time.
And then finally, I mean, he's the last big henchman to die. I think there's a number of henchmen that all die in curious ways.
It's all the zombie hitmen. Once again, though, they get them. They one way or another, they kill them, basically, you know.
And so Sugar calls up Morgan and says, after all this, I'm not selling. And he gets pissed off because all his men are dead. He's trying to figure this out. I think he's even suspecting maybe she has something to do with it. And then he sort of like threatens her. He's kind of flirting with her, and he's like one of these guys that like.
At first, she accepts dominates from women him after killing that hitman that delivers it. That was with the last, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and she comes up and like, "Hey, your man never showed up with my money." And this was just like an accountant. This wasn't even the guy who was like, "I wasn't even at the murder," and it was just like, vengeance is strong with this one. It's like you could just work there. You could just be, you know, work in the office, Morgan's office, and you're gonna die.
Yeah. If you work in the mailroom, you're gonna get killed too. If you're the
guy who brings Morgan his coffee in the morning, oh, you're dying. Well, in a horrible zombie.
Wait a minute, I'm just a landscaper.
Too bad.
I wasn't even there. You worked for him, though. I needed the job. I didn't know what he did.
And so Morgan and this girl brings his girlfriend down. She says, "I'm not taking the money," and then he's pissed off. So after all that, so he's coming down there. He and his girlfriend go to Mom and Trace's house. No one says no to him. He's pissed off, and so he's going to get that club one way or another. And so he goes down to the Mom and Trace's place. He goes there, and this is the final kill. It's final round.
Yes.
And so he goes right into the trap. He shows up. His girlfriend's in the car. He's inside the house looking for her. And then his dead henchmen all come back. Kind of, it reminded me of American Werewolf in London, kind of. Like they're all, as they die.
But it's far creepier.
Beetlejuice.
It's almost the poster shot. It's like the Last Supper of this movie shot of Sugar sitting right in the middle of it, just standing right there in the middle of it all, in the center of it all, just kind of with a grin. And all the dead henchmen, zombies, now are her henchmen bitches as well. They have joined the army of the dead. That's what they have to do. That's just their instinctive
They
will.
joined the army. They're just like those slaves. Because she even said earlier in the movie that the masters themselves were part of Baron Zombie's army. And not just the slaves. But anyway, there's a backstory to some of this, I guess.
With Baron, with the Baron's help, yes, of course.
During these kills, there's these wonderful building drums and a lot of good music around the kills. They just gradually set that tempo for the scene.
It's very suspenseful too. All the kills, all the scenes where these guys get off, they're very suspenseful, and because that's the creepy thing, as we say, is these zombies are more like the vampires, or they're more like Mist or something. They just show up.
But they do
have run, but you can't hide.
There is a tongue-in-cheekness in the comedy to this. Like this movie's very self-aware in a way.
Oh yeah.
It's not played, which is part of the fun, and I think it's a
bit of a comic book in a way, I would say.
It's a little over the top, and there's a lot of humor, but that's a good thing. It's not straight horror. I mean, it has a lot of horror and kills, but at the same time, it's like you're laughing one minute, and then next minute someone's brutally murdered. That's the vibe of this film, and it pulls it off very well.
Yeah, it does have a nice balance of the two. Definitely.
We'll talk about Morgan's death, and then we'll talk about what happens to his girlfriend. But what happens to Morgan, Jordan?
Oh, yeah. So he runs into all these hitmen. And well, yeah, after he sees all his henchmen have become her hitman zombie army of the dead. Yeah. How is it he gets killed again? Jeez. It's just like
he drowns in quicksand.
That's right. He runs off scared and just ends up drowning. Yeah, in the quicksand, in the backyard of Mama Trace's backyard, basically, more or less.
Yeah. And why does Mama Trace have
army has been summoned?
I don't.
Yeah, and quicksand will kill you, basically.
I mean, who knows? It could have been set up by Baron Zombie. He's got the powers. I don't. Anyway, who knows?
Yeah.
Could be.
I'm sorry. All the murders kind of bleed together after a while in the movie, but because you're just.
There's a lot of murder.
They're all just oh shit moments too. You're like, what? I
mean, that's not a criticism of the movie. It's a fun movie. There's a lot of great.
Yeah,
kills.
exactly.
This
That's
movie
the
is
fun
like
of it.
fun
Absolutely.
kills all over the place. There's just a lot of them, and I've slept since then, etc. But I found that to be. I don't have many criticisms of this film, but I think that Morgan's death is a bit anticlimactic for me.
Yeah, he could have got it worse, maybe. Somehow.
There should have been like a cool ass voodoo ritual.
I guess the quicksand is a bit cartoonish, I guess. Maybe
they ran out of money or something, or I don't know. But it seems abrupt, and I would have just the whole setting is there to have.
They should have just
really
crucified his ass somehow. They should have just
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he should have got it worse than anybody. You're right.
Or he could have been dragged into the ground by slaves or something. The zombies.
Oh, or just how about knocked into the ground and just the slaves just start grabbing shovels, start burying his ass alive right there.
Oh man, that would have been awesome.
And then every time he tries to get out from the ground, they stomp on his chest. And then after a while, they just step on him and hold him down as they shovel dirt over him. I just rewrote the movie, folks.
whatever. There's any number of ideas. I just think it's a little weak, and that's not a criticism of the movie.
That's a good point. Yeah. If we got to pick on one part of the movie, yeah.
I just wanted to see more. Yeah, I can't.
Other than that, it's a very tight script. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's a very tight script written by a guy named Tim Kelly. I think the last thing he wrote, T-I-M, like Timothy Anthony.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, Tim Kelly, and apparently the last thing he wrote was something called Black Fist in 1975. Which sounds very interesting. I may have to check that out.
I haven't seen personally Black Fist. Richard Lawson plays Black Fist, so there's a connection there.
Oh, damn. More Richard Lawson power, yeah.
Philip Michael Thomas is in that too, man.
Philip Michael Thomas power as well.
We might have to watch Black Fist over here.
Yeah.
And TV's Richard Lawson. Wow, what a movie. Anyway. We're not talking about Black Fist. We are talking about what happens to the racist girlfriend at the end, Jordan.
I'm forgetting what happens to her now. Oh my God.
Well, I'm remembering what happens to her. And what happens to her is Baron Zombie never got his,
Oh, that's right.
Whatever was promised to him.
Bride,
he was going to get Sugar. And I think she was, she was going to be one of the brides of Baron Zombie. But instead, he takes the racist girlfriend.
Yes.
And now
the
she
zombies
has to spend
themselves,
eternity.
The Army of the Dead forcefully, move her to be one of they they restrain her and make her Baron Zombie's bride, I guess.
And Baron Zombie gets his prize, so it's kind of everybody gets their comeuppance here.
I would have loved a sequel to this movie, honestly.
Oh man! Well, I mean, who else does she have to go for after Vengeance on? I don't know. Maybe some. Somebody
would come to her. Somebody would come to her. She would become Mama Matrace. Somebody would come to her for vengeance.
I kind of thought that there would be. I could see this as a TV show in the '70s, like the Baron Zombie Mysteries, where they go and they like solve a mystery each week.
Every week.
And then the zombies come and kill zombies come and kill somebody each week in the show. Like somebody who deserves killing, kind of like Dexter.
But that's what I'm thinking. Like the movie would be like, Sugar helps other people after a while in a movie series, Although, you could see that as a TV series as well. Other people summon Baron Zombie, and they, Baron Zombie ends up helping people.
Oh no, I think she and Baron Zombie go around killing people still. And don't mess with the formula. It's already good.
There's such a
They're like
dynamic
Charlie's Angels, but they kill. They're like Charlie's Angels, but they kill people with zombies. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, dynamic duo. The whole team of the whole trio of Sugar and Sugar, Diana, Mama Matrace, and Baron.
Yeah. You have a lot of fun with that. There could have been a sequel. Why not? It was a good movie. I'll tell you why there wasn't a sequel. Is because the movie reportedly cost, and this is all, who knows, Wikipedia, $350,000 to make, which is a cheap movie.
Yeah.
And for their money, it looks great. Did
it not make any money? I guess that you would think it'd make money.
I don't know this to be accurate, but IMDb says it made $30,000.
Oh my God, that was it, man.
A tenth of its budget. I fail to believe that. How could this movie not have made more? It's a classic.
Yeah.
And Jordan used to work at a bar, and we actually screened this. He would show movies at the bar in the side room. And people just off the street or just came in at the bar were just like, oh, what's going on? We're screening this film, Sugar Hill. Loved it. Random people who had never heard of this movie, were not even into like 70s, whatever. People were loving this damn movie. It's a good ass movie. As much as we've spoiled it, whatever. Go watch it. This is a fun movie if you're into
this. Is definitely a Friday or Saturday night at the movies in your home, with some beer, with a joint. Should I say that here? No.
Whatever. It's legal where you are, so yeah.
That's true. Yes. I in fact met some when I worked at that same bar. I met some guys in Dallas that said they saw, unless they were getting the movie I was talking about. I was talking about that movie though. I was talking about Sugar Hill with them, and they said they were old enough to have seen it back in the day, and they saw it at a drive-in in Dallas. They said they remembered seeing it at a drive-in Dallas, unless they were just mixing it up with a different movie, which could have been the case.
Yeah, they were like, no, that was Herbie Wright's again. I mean, we were thinking about totally.
That's what it sounded like.
No, that was Kramer versus Kramer. No, my bad. It was
we saw it at the I-45, man. I'm telling you, it was that movie. It was only playing at that one theater.
I don't remember seeing this crazy ass movie. This is just such a crazy ass fucking awesome movie. It's low budget,
It's right up there with a bunch of other 70s revenge flicks I like Rolling Thunder or the bizarre thriller A Cruel Picture, also known as They Call Her One Eye, which came out the same year actually in America.
I was thinking the same thing, that there's some heavy They Call Her One Eye vibes here as far as pure revenge films.
They Call Her One Eye makes this movie look like a Disney movie though, by comparison, as far as the tameness of it or the violence goes.
There are some adult themes that kind of we will talk about that movie another time.
We may have to talk about that movie on a podcast. I may be afraid to go revisit that movie though.
You can't compare these two films. This is a fun night at the movies. They Call Her One Eye is European.
Merely saying you could put that at the bottom of the bill. You could put that it could be on a double bill easily at the bottom of Sugar Hill though. Yeah.
Did they ever wrap it up with the cop? Did they ever? I could see the two.
No, because Sugar demanded they not do anything to him. Basically, that's what it was. Because I think Baron was ready to silence his ass.
Baron didn't give a damn.
He doesn't give a damn.
I'm not afraid of this bitch, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
He's like nothing troubles me. I don't give it. That's why Baron Zombie is just a force of nature.
It's just that's what it seemed like to me, at least. It looked like, you know what, Baron Zombie's going to get rid of them and any witnesses that are going to do something to harm Sugar, because that's the way he sees it. Is this guy might harm Sugar? I mean, harm
he
Sugar.
He can turn on Sugar Diana. Too. I mean,
that's
if he doesn't get his prize at the end of it. I kind of thought the movie could.
But I think he ends up living. That's what would have been great about it. That's what would have been great for a sequel if Richard Lawson showed back up again. He's like the Ben Helsing of this movie. His character.
Yeah, I mean, so much could have happened. It's good as it is. It's fine. But I will say this though: watching the remastered version, even on Amazon, it doesn't. This is one of those movies that doesn't help because the effects and the makeup do not need to be in high def. They're not bad.
Oh yeah, it is cheap.
They just don't look as
effects.
Whenever I've seen this before, it was in bootlegs and grainy VHS, or I don't even think VHS, but wherever these copies came from, they were grainy and much more forgiving. Can't see the strings, so to speak. It's not bad, but it does. I don't know. It took me out of it a little bit, not much, because I love this film. But I was kind of like, it was a little crisper and clearer than it needs to be, considering the budget. But considering the budget, they did an awesome job. It's atmospheric. This is one of those success movies where it's like, despite the lower budget, we made a fantastic film that is rich in atmosphere and creative and all of this stuff. Despite
can you imagine if they'd done it in black and white though? Like it kind of would have worked.
It wouldn't be the 70s. I don't know.
That's true though. It wouldn't feel 70s.
Black and white. You kind of need to see some like purple butterfly collars. I mean, you need color.
It's kind of the same thing like the Omega Man is guilty of, where you just show too much of. They show too much. They should have relied on darkness more on things. And more fog and that kind of thing.
This movie, I think, was.
I don't know why they were always. It's like we got to get the image.
Yeah, it was very.
It's got to be bright because it'll be on drive-in screens.
It does have fog. It does have all that, but they were more concerned. It seems like less. And they did make a huge attempt to create tension and whatever, but they're really this movie, like we kept saying about Rachel the Devil. This movie moves at a clip, which is one of the things that saves it. One of the best things about it. There's not a dull moment. There's not a long talky scene more than a couple of minutes, like when Valentine's talking to the professor or something. I mean, that's the longest. Everything's a kill, gangster, kill.
This movie does very much move at a fast clip. I mean, even in the beginning, the setup with her man dying is that's within like 10 minutes of the movie right there, almost. At least it felt like it, 10 or 15 minutes. That's what happened. I mean, they don't waste time with it. And they make his murder so shocking that you remember it, basically, just very much like what happens in RoboCop years later and what happened in Psycho in the beginning, because they beat the shit out of him till he's dead, basically. And it's like there's no. So, yeah, you all remember. And the guy doesn't seem bad before that at all. He seems very charming. And him and Sugar have some real chemistry. It looks real on screen even.
And it all makes sense. I think it's weird that she doesn't grieve a little more. She does cry. I'm not saying there's scenes where she cries, but she's just pure. She's a vengeance machine. The rest
she does all of her grieving right there when she discovers his body in the beginning of the movie. But through the rest of it, she's just sullen and angry, bent on hell bent on revenge.
Just very calculating. It's a beautiful film in that sense. It's really interesting to see how she's playing everybody. There's a lot going on in this movie. It's really interesting story-wise. But, I guess a little plot hole there and I probably missed it. Someone will probably say, Anthony, well, this whole scene where, I'm like, dude, I probably forgot about that. But anyway, there may have been a little bit of plot hole at the cop at the end, but who cares? Sequel or spin-off TV show. I don't know. Jordan, what do you have for final thoughts on this film and rating? Recommend it, don't recommend it?
I would recommend it with the following disclaimer of, you bring up you brought up a good point early in the beginning of the review about the N-word being used. I forgot about that watching this movie again. And I would warn if I recommended it to anybody, I would warn them with a disclaimer of that, that the N-word is used a lot in the movie.
Yeah.
Although
and also the H word. The H word is used a lot too.
It's the bad guys in the movie saying it. So it makes you hate them more so. Makes you not like them more so, and ready to get their just dessert. Oh, but absolutely, I would recommend this as a Friday or Saturday night at home at the movies as a grown adult. I wouldn't really recommend this for kids so much, but
probably not. There's no nudity or drug use.
Probably teenagers. Teenagers could probably watch it. Yes. Now I'm sounding like the MPA. I'm sorry, but
what kind of rating do you give it?
I rate this out of 10 voodoo dolls. I give this 8 voodoo dolls.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think of it. We have to acknowledge
it's got a tight script to it. It's definitely got a tight script underlying the whole thing, and definitely got some great acting power behind it. And some
awesome acting,
and some directing power behind it for not being. I don't know how much work Paul Maslansky had done before this movie, but
this would be a solid 70s Grindhouse 10 blaxploitation. I'm not sure if that's a very.
It's definitely. It's definitely a Grindhouse movie for sure. It's definitely something you could easily see on the marquee of a 42nd Street back then, or even a drive-in in the South back then.
In my book, it really deserves a 10, except I'm going to go a 9 for what it is and what it's trying to do. But
you made the Baron happy.
I know. It would have gotten a 10 if it weren't for, and I didn't realize this till this last viewing, the ending is a little, I wouldn't say even call it weak. It wraps up things. A tremendous voodoo kill at the end would have made this the perfect movie.
And you're referring once again to Robert Murray's Quicksand Death, which I was listening to a podcast the other day. I was overhearing a podcast my wife was listening to the other day, and they were talking about how quicksand in reality doesn't really kill. And they always made it look bad in cartoons when we were growing up, but
it's a very Abbott and Costello or whatever. Whenever they stopped using quicksand, in Tarzan movies. I mean, when was the last time you saw somebody? Oh, I'm sorry, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. I forgot had a stupid quicksand scene.
But apparently, nobody's ever really died from a quicksand death.
Jordan, you're setting yourself up. Someone's gonna be like, "My uncle died from quicksand," and like, you just don't. there are a few people who probably died of quicksand.
My uncle died of quicksand back in Nam.
President Grover Cleveland died in quicksand, Jordan. Anyway, great film.
Great film, though, nevertheless. It was entertaining watching it again. And yeah, it looks superb in HD.
Totally rewatchable.
But yes, it does show all of its flaws in HD as well. Yeah, as a low budget movie. Sure.
That's a minor thing. It doesn't take me out of it really that much, but I just noticed it. You know what I mean? You see these old movies and they're in high def, or not high def, but whatever, the remaster, and you're just kind of like,
no. And plus 70s film stock, there was something different about 70s film stock back then. The quality of color back then. It's something almost like slight pastel maybe, or slight sepia, in a way.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
And whenever
I can't quite put my finger on
remaster it, you lose some of that, and you lose some of the graininess. It's a little more forgiving, but it doesn't. It's like, hey, this is a movie, and it reminds you. But this is so atmospheric that you forget it's a movie. That's the point of going to a movie. The acting is tight. The story is fascinating. It's a fascinating movie. It's probably I wouldn't say one of its kind, but it's a very unique movie made on a low budget, and everyone involved should have gotten their accolades. But apparently it wasn't as well received as it was later. So anyway, that's all I have to say about it, Jordan. You want to set this out?
Yeah, just once again, such a tight movie script, nevertheless, in my opinion, Sugar Hill. And final thoughts, man, watch it as a double feature with another revenge flick from the 70s, like Rolling Thunder, or They Call Her One Eye, although that might be a bit heavy afterwards of a meal. But yeah, man, no, nothing else other than if I could only have a revenge like that. No. If I were going to do a revenge, I would want it to be like Sugar Hill, Anthony.
Jordan's going to try to Candyman Baron Zombie in his bathroom and into killing somebody.
I want justice, Baron. On this boss I had from another job.
All right, guys. It's been great talking about movies with you, Jordan. So
great talking with you,
man. We'll see you guys next time when we talk about another film. This has been The Robot. I'm picking out of a hat as we speak. Another surprising film. This has been Robots Took My Podcast.
Robots Took My Podcast. All right. Have a good weekend.
All trailers, clips, music, or any other copyrighted material are used sparingly, edited from their original forms, and used for the purposes of criticism, discussion, commentary, and education about these fine films.